Why are Americans getting sicker? Our country is spending...
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday live chat.
Wednesday. Let's play the beginning music. Wednesday. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, wait. You know what? The background is wrong. Let's change the background. So it's not Q&A yet. There it is. Today, Wednesday, September 4th already, amazingly. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Starliner update and noise, red light demons, cell phones and brain cancer, ChatGPT and strawberries. Have you guys seen that at all?
No.
Okay, well, that'll be
I
a
know
fun
what
one.
ChatGPT is, and I eat strawberries.
And okay, close. And TikToks.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, now I can stop the music, and now you guys can discuss amongst yourselves. Go
Talk
ahead.
amongst
So
yourselves.
today's
gotta fix
Wednesday,
your
the what, Ian?
camera.
4th,
Yeah.
9/4.
9/4 already.
Steve's oldest daughter is getting married on Sunday.
That's right. A few days.
And her fiance asked me
To officiate.
to officiate.
Yeah.
And I finished my speech.
You
and
ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, you know when you write something that's meant to be read out loud,
Yeah.
and then you have to morph it into out loud language.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I
You
tend
have to say it.
when I'm right. Yeah, you have to just. I keep saying it out loud. But when I write, I tend to write with some flourishes in my language that just don't work when you read it out loud. You know,
Right.
Certain words.
It's
don't
different. Dialogue and written word is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I am telling stories,
Mhm.
and I hate reading. But it's it's 4 pages. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I just couldn't possibly memorize every little detail. How do you have a good memory for, like, could you read something that's on 4 pages and just nail it?
Not word for word.
But you could get the essence.
But yeah, so I think, speaking extemporaneously is always, I think, a good idea, just because it's more natural
Yeah.
and more dynamic than if you are reading, like you're literally reading.
Yeah.
So I've always done that whenever possible. I don't think I've ever did any substantial just reading
Yeah.
in a live set.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do that. I mean, I could bullet point it. I could reduce it down.
Now
I
we got
mean,
Jay.
what's that, Ian?
Now we got Jay. Sorry, I didn't have you on camera before.
No.
Well, at least for TikTok. You're back.
but people could hear me, correct?
They could hear you, of course.
Okay, well, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, so, no, I did not use ChatGPT. So what I did do was I used ChatGPT in the very beginning. I said, I always tell
are they?
ChatGPT what I want it to act like.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell it to act like a professional speechwriter or act like a public speaker. So I did say act like a public speaker, and then I'm officiating a wedding, Tell me all the different things that people do when they officiate a wedding. And it gave me a really extensive list of all these different things. You know, it was like things I would never even think about.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just interesting. What's funny about ChatGPT is for something that doesn't have a mind, it's so good with language.
Yeah, well, that's what it
Ooh,
is.
that's
Yeah.
a good
It is a
segue.
large language model.
It's so freaking good with language that it has read, when you know, whatever. I can't help it. It has
It's
absorbed.
been trained on.
It's been trained on, Steve.
Subsumed.
Yeah.
Subsumed almost everything that has been written down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I was doing research for my screenplay, and it read every freaking book it had in its memory. It never searched the web. It just came out with the answer, which means it had it. It already had it in there. So anyway, this was in there. It must have read thousands of websites and books and everything, you know, that they've fed it. So it's good for that. Like, it gives you like context, and you know, then I asked it advice, like, you know, what would be some good things to stay away from? You know, how long should the speech be? That's basically what I'm using it for. Is it's condensing extensive web searching down to seconds. Which, you know, how could you beat that? Like, you know, of all the things that people are saying about AI, and it's all the way from it's BS to it's going to take over the world. You know,
It's a useful tool.
it's a
it
damn
does
powerful
what it does very
tool,
well. It's
man.
a powerful tool.
Like when I use it for my SGU, is I'll pick my main news item. I'll send it to Steve. Steve gives me approval. Sometimes Steve will be like, "Don't forget to mention that." You know, as the editor in chief, Steve's like, "Don't forget to mention this or do this or, you know, take it from this angle." And then I'll find as many articles as I can. And then I just tell it, take all these articles and take every single piece of information in every article and collate it and give me
Yeah.
one
Give me a
extensive.
summary.
Yeah, give me a one. No, I never say
Executive
summary.
summary.
I never say summary.
Okay.
I don't want a summary. I want every detail. And then I have it make me a bullet point list. And once I'm there, once I've achieved that, then I can write my news item to pull out the things. What's the order of events? What's the most important stuff? You know that. But it saved me a good hour, I think, or two of BS work. You know, low brain activity work.
Yeah, the trick is, I think that ChatGPT cannot do for you, and what it's not good at is deciding what the narrative is.
Correct.
Like, what's the story? So it's great at collating information, but like, how are you going to tie this all together? You know what I mean? Like, what is the story here? And it's fine if you're just going to relay facts, but that's not what I want to do on the show. You know, I want to tell a story.
Yeah, of course.
I want to put it into context. I want to do analysis. And I find it's really not good at that.
It's horrible at it.
Because it's just whatever, one or two layers too deep for what it does. And it's, the whole point is that oftentimes, like when I decide what I want to talk about, it's not always like brand new, never been talked about ideas, but I always try to find something new.
Yeah.
And by definition, that's not something that should be frequently out there, right? Not something that should be common in the training data.
That's
on
right.
ChatGPT.
It's recent. Yeah.
It's not just recent. It's like I'm trying to find a new angle. You know what I mean? It's like George Carlin said, you got to nail two things together that have never been nailed
Some
together
idiot
before.
will buy it.
Yeah, some idiot will buy it.
So, you know, ChatGPT also, like in this instance for my speech, I interviewed Steve's daughter and her fiance together, and I interviewed them separately, and I took extensive notes. I talked to each of them for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Of just me rifling, you know, firing questions and asking for clarification and trying to pull out, you know, some good sentimental moments and things like that, right? It couldn't, ChatGPT, like, what would it possibly do? You know, it couldn't handle that because to me, it's so emotion based. It's so philosophical. It can't do that. It's not there. Again, what Steve said is perfect. It's really good at taking information and juggling it as data. It's good at handling information.
Yeah, and in terms of like formatting stuff, I keep finding, even after a few years of it sort of evolving, it's basically functioning at a middle school, early high school level.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of like, it's giving me a book report. You know, there was a recent, I don't know if I talked about this last week or the week before. There's a recent New York Times article where an author had a prompt, and he wrote a short story based on the prompt, and he gave the same prompt to ChatGPT, and it wrote a short story. Then he just published the two stories without telling you which was which until after. Like you had to read them both first.
Yep.
I instantly knew which one was ChatGPT. I mean, I was bored before I got through the first paragraph.
Yeah, of course.
It was lifeless. There was it was getting the job done. It was, just this linear plotting, telling of his story with no nuance or anything.
But
it wasn't engaging at all with the reader.
And they might get it there someday. I don't know how long.
Sure, I mean, there's nothing impossible about it, but you realize, getting 95%, and this is something we've seen a lot with AI, or in similar computer applications. It's like getting that 95% of the way there is the easy part.
Yeah.
And that last 5% can take is harder than the first 95%.
That's where the magic is.
That's like same thing like with driverless cars. Getting to it's 95%, but that last 5% could take twice as long or 3 times as long as that first 95%. I remember the same was true of speech recognition.
Yes.
Remember back in the 2000s,
Dragon naturally speaking.
Yeah, whatever that crap, the late 90s, early aughts, whatever, when the speech recognition was becoming popular, and it was 95%, which is not good.
No.
It sounds good, but not when you have to go through and correct 95. Correct
1 out of every 10 words.
One out of every 20 words or whatever. It wasn't quite there.
And plus, we had to train the shit out of it. I remember
had to train the
talking
shit
into
out of it.
So what happened was I dislocated every finger on this hand. Right.
Yeah.
This hand was blown apart like I was holding a bomb. Okay. And I was a programmer, so I bought Dragon Naturally Speaking, and I spent days training it and tweaking it, and I was training it to write code, so I had to teach it words that weren't basically kind of cooked into the software, and it finally got there, and it was fine. But holy Christ, today it's so you could go into almost any Apple and Google have it down. You could be talking into your phone.
But it took a good 15 years longer
it was a long
than
time,
what they
man.
promised, because it took a lot longer to get that last 5% than the first. And so I think we're there now with the large language models, where just getting to the point where you could make a crappy image, it gets the job done, but there's none of that flair or whatever.
Yeah.
Or getting to the point where it could write a story and the elements are there, but it's soulless and flat and boring is fine, but making it so that it has that sort of artistic, real, intellectual,
not the tool,
gripping. That could take another 10 or 20 years. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
We just
We'll
don't
see.
know, but it's not there today.
But it's definitely not there, and
let's-
I haven't seen it getting any closer in the last few years.
But hold on 1 second, Ian, and then
Good.
we'll jump right in.
We'll jump to that ChatGPT.
So the thing that it does really well, that I want people to really understand, if you said to it, and you could try this with, pick a topic that you're interested in. Let's say you want to talk about philosophers of the last 100 years, right? You say to it, give me a list of the top 50 philosophers of the last 100 years and give me a paragraph on what they contributed to philosophy, right? And then you go try to do the same thing on Google.
Mm-hmm.
It will kill you. It will crush you in how fast it does it in a way that you can, and at a quality level that really would take a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Again, because it's retrieving data and it will spit that stuff out at you immediately. So as a research tool, it's magic. I've never had anything speed things up, and it's unbelievable. If you're using it that way, then it's going to punch as hard as anything could punch, as ever punched. But the creativity part of it is not there.
Yeah, it's a tool for your creativity. It's not supposed to replace your creativity. If you try to use it that way, you're going to be doing mediocre grade school level work.
But someday, Steve. Someday.
There's no reason why
you and I will be in a video game.
Yeah.
It'll be a virtual reality video game. And we will be talking to characters that are in the game.
Yeah.
In real time. They will be responding to what we're saying in real time.
Yeah.
And it will create plot and create environments as per the choices
I
we
wrote
make.
about this, I think, a year ago, or maybe a little bit longer. And I've been writing a lot about the AI and possible applications. I totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
At least I hope
that
that's going to happen.
It will happen.
It seems like it would be a great. I don't know if there's a company out there working on it. It takes 5 years 10 years to make a top-notch video
AAA game.
So if some Bethesda or somebody or Valve is working on, a real, like the current level AI supported game, like that at that level, I would love it, and I'd love to experience it because, we game a lot, and anyone who games knows that the AI in even top level games is crap.
Yeah,
and it's a source of amusement, and you sort of take it for what it is, so there's a lot of memes
and you're
generated
on rails, some of the
you're
best
totally
games
on rails.
You can't, in Half-Life Alyx, which was a VR
Yeah.
game, you don't initiate talking at all. It just happens in front of you. You drive the character.
Well, that was a story you were playing through, but
Yeah.
more like open-ended worlds.
But
If you're playing Skyrim, for example,
Yeah.
or Fallout
you
4.
pick out of a category. There's a drop down. What do you want to say to the character? So there's a tree of possible conversations. But the way that they'll do it, and it's really not that complicated if you think about it. They'll take every character, and at every point in the story that you would interact with that character, they would be like, "This is what that character knows." And you could ask it questions, and it will be able to give you the answers.
But it's so limited because there's so many permutations. And so, like with Skyrim, for example, you see the mage of the White City, whatever, and he has a certain limited number of things that he says to you.
Yeah.
Like, so if you say, "Oh yeah, I want to buy a mage book from you," he says, "Oh, I had you figured for a mage." He'll say that to you even after you're the high mage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it does not adapt to the story. And there's hundreds of instances of it's not, the AI cannot account for every permutation
You're
of
right.
what happens in the game. So you're always saying the same recycled
And it
things
takes you
over
out
and
of the
over.
game.
It takes you out of the game.
Totally, man.
And again, I don't even know why they have different characters reading the same lines. And because everything has to be written and recorded and whatever, and there's a finite tree of things that could happen. I get it. You can have the game be massive, but yeah, just imagine if you had a real AI-driven, backbone where the game is responding to it's learning based upon what you're doing, what your character's doing.
But
in the
it will be
game.
able to create environments and adventures.
Yes,
But-
that's the other thing is
yeah.
the world generation
Yeah.
in real time. So some games do that now, like Minecraft. Like you keep going more, like you can go forever in Minecraft. It's not all prefab. It's making it as you go.
Yeah, there's an algorithm that they use.
It's
to generate
algorithmically
everything.
generating it as you go, and but of course that's Minecraft is a low res game. But imagine if you could imagine your favorite game, like something like Fallout 4.
Mhm.
Imagine if there were parts of that game that were literally endless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In that you could keep. Like it could be massive because it could generate it as you go there, you know, and within the parameters. So the potential of AI for gaming, when you think about it, is massive. I haven't seen any of it, and I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like when that comes out.
It's frustrating to be teased so profoundly, and I'll give you the perfect example.
Mhm.
So Steve and I got into VR when it came out. We both bought headsets. We're very excited. The Half-Life Alyx, we both agree, is probably the best VR experience that you're going to get so far. But there's and I want to put a little button there that I'm going to press in a second. There is a better experience you could have, but I just wanted to just follow this thought.
Yeah.
So there was something that you get for free. It was like the company that Valve you get the lab, right? And the lab lets you shoot a bow and arrow from a castle.
Game.
That's a lot of fun. But there's lots of things. There's a robot dog that you could play catch with, blah blah blah. All these different little mini games that they give you to show you, like, hey, VR is cool.
They teased the hell out of.
One of them was you are in a mage's tower, and you're looking around like the spell room of the mage, right?
Yeah.
And it happens. I'm in the room, and all of a sudden I'm looking around, and I'm like, this is the game I've been wanting to play.
Yeah, that's the exact experience I had too.
And that was 10 years ago,
I know.
man. What the hell are they doing?
Was it 10 years ago? It was more like, I don't know, 6 or 7.
All right, whatever.
I know
Long
at some point your character gets shrunk down, and now you're experiencing the world from 2 inches tall. And it was. I agree. It's like, this is the game I want. I want this to be a full game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So frustrating. But so the thing is, they can make the games and they can make them at extraordinarily good quality. It's just
Yeah.
that a lot of people, the buy-in hasn't really happened yet. And I'm surprised. Like,
You're still trying to bootstrap. it,
Facebook is trying with Meta. They want to create the VR universe that people are going to go into, and I can't help but think, Zuckerberg's absolute number one goal is he wants to sell virtual real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be it. I mean,
Yeah,
the cost of virtual real estate is going to be extraordinary. You got to get in early. Whenever that starts to happen, guys, and it's the platform that the world starts using, whatever that is, buy some real estate online and just let it sit there.
Yeah.
Right? Just buy it, because I'm telling you, it's going to be like Bitcoin. It's going to go berserk. And then it'll have reached its value, and that wave will have come and gone, and you would have missed it. So here I am, Uncle Jay, telling you right now to spend $20 and buy a piece of real estate somewhere, and because whatever. I look at it like it's like a lottery ticket. If it hits, it could make you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay, I'm gonna put that in the email for this week.
Yes, yeah.
Uncle Jay says buy virtual real estate.
Real estate.
Okay, let's do the ChatGPT
yeah,
thing
do
just
it,
for a
man.
second.
What
So
are we
we're
waiting
gonna
for?
play. So this was kind of popular on the Tickety Talks, as it usually
Oh, for
is.
Christ's
So
sake.
this is ChatGPT.
That guy is ChatGPT.
Yeah, this guy's ChatGPT. Is Chad GPT.
Chad GPT.
And this is the question they're asking ChatGPT. Let's see.
All right, so I asked ChatGPT, how many R's are in strawberry? It said, there are 2 R's in strawberry. I counted 3. I can see why you might think that, but strawberry actually has 2 R's. Maybe you are counting the letter R in straw and berry separately. Break it down and show me. Sure, here's the breakdown. Strawberry. The R's are highlighted. There are 2 R's in strawberry. I said,
I think you can actually see that the highlight's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it's like
it looks like the
SRWEY. So he goes through this whole thing back and forth, like for 5 minutes. He's arguing with ChatGPT,
Okay.
and I think if at the end it says
except for
there
the
are indeed-
R's from strawberry, you get RR. You're missing one.
Yeah.
Then finally, I see what you mean now, including all the R's from strawberry. If you remove all the letters except R's, you get RRR. There are indeed 3 R's. All right,
So a little hallucination from ChatGPT, but I figured, why don't we try it and see if this is not just like a weird bug?
I have a hypothesis.
Okay, let's go.
You want to hear what it is?
Before, yeah, let's do it before we.
Okay.
It did it to me too.
My hypothesis
Hey,
is
wait for me to do
sorry.
it on the stream,
Sorry.
you fuck.
Sorry, man.
you just Ian Jay.
That
he
was
couldn't wait.
That was a.
Here's my hypothesis. Because again, ChatGPT, it doesn't think, it doesn't understand,
think
it doesn't
and
know
understand.
anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So when people are asking,
Right.
like, how do you spell strawberry? Is it with 1 or 2 R's? They're talking about the berry in strawberry.
Right.
They're not even thinking about the R
Yeah,
in
you're right.
straw. So ChatGPT is reflecting that, out there in internet world. Like, that's the question people are asking. But it doesn't really know anything. So you had to keep maneuvering it around until it was thinking about it in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally true. I
Like
think
if I asked you, do you spell strawberry with 1 R or 2? You would know what I mean by
Right.
that. Like, is it BERY or BERRY?
right.
But it doesn't know the context.
Yes.
But it's reflecting that context. But you had anyway.
Right.
Didn't Bob go through the same thing where ChatGPT was wrong about something, and then he tried to convince it that he was correct?
Yeah.
And he did, but it took him a while.
And it doesn't matter, because if you do convince it, it's only appearing in that session. It doesn't
Once you reset, it forgets again.
Plus, what does convincing it mean? Like,
Yeah.
is it just acquiescing to your demands, or
Oh, it's
is
like-
it
No, I think
looking
it's
for more information? You know,
Yeah,
like-
it's like tweaking your Google search until you get the results you want.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like you're just exploring different pathways of its algorithm until you get the answer you want.
I mean, the thing is, if you asked how many R's are in strawberry, we would even say 3, right? Like, I mean, it's like if we said
No, but I bet you somebody might say
I guess
2.
they
I mean
might say
3. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
3, but there's 2 in the berry.
2
you
in
know?
the end. Yeah,
But
that's
somebody
true.
might initially say 2.
Right.
if you
hit
say
it.
how do you spell, like I certainly could see that. How many R's contains 2 R's? See, so it does. They haven't updated, let's say, the software to include this acknowledgement.
Well,
So
what would you say next, Ian?
well, I would say, let's say,
Are you counting the R in straw?
yeah, are you counting the R in straw? Oops. Yes, I'm counting both R's in strawberry, 1 in straw and 1 in berry.
What?
How many R's are in berry? Oh,
Oh, you broke it.
the word berry contains 1 R. Look at that. So it's really hurting.
You are
Oh
on-
boy!
So it's like on another.
So my hypothesis is wrong. It doesn't know how to spell berry.
I think your hypothesis is correct with this first sentence, right?
Oh, is it
But
just
then
doubling down on its
this,
wrong answer?
Right.
There's 1 R in berry.
Yeah, try again, maybe. Let's see. You're right. My previous response was inaccurate. The word berry contains 2 R's. My apologies for the mistake.
Now ask it this first
So-
question again.
Therefore, how many?
many
Yeah.
R's in strawberry?
Let's see if it learned.
Strawberry contains 3. 1 in straw and 2 in
Oh.
berry.
Okay.
So it's interesting. So I did this like before. I only did a little bit like yesterday just to see, and it did say 2 as well. So I wonder if I do a new session, will it save? Is it like user dependent? I don't know.
It
How
is. It is.
many
It's your session,
R's
and
are
it.
in or is it session
Before
dependent?
before you do it,
Okay.
Let me tell you how I'll say what I think it's going to do.
Okay.
So it's a different session, and it's not reading the other sessions.
Mm-hmm.
However, now let's try this. If it fails this time,
Mm-hmm.
then tell it. Please reference the session called and.
Right.
Ian.
Counting R's in strawberry.
Yeah, but it's going to probably call this one the same one. Do me a favor before you do that.
Okay.
Go up to the session that you had,
The previous one.
the strawberry one. Hit the
Is
dots.
it this one? Wait, why didn't it not? That's the Boeing thing. Wait, hold on. This is.
There it is, right there. That's it. Counting.
Well, this was from actually yesterday. So why don't I not have the? Oh, there it is. Okay.
All right,
That
now
was weird.
hit the 3 dots
3 dots.
in the menu on the left.
Oh,
For
oh,
the
this
old
one.
one,
I see,
for
I
the
see, I
old
see, I
one,
see, I
right?
see.
The old
yeah,
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Rename it.
Rename.
Just call it, strawberry one.
Okay. Can I spell it? Strawberry 1.
Okay.
We'll get chat. We'll do all your
Now
suggestions.
leave
too.
that alone. Now
Okay.
now go back and have it
I see what you're saying.
to a new chat.
How many R's are in strawberry? Boom. There are 2. Oh,
All right, now wait.
okay.
Now say,
Uh-huh.
please reference
Please reference
the session named Strawberry 1 and
Session
re-answer the question.
Strawberry 1 and re-answer the question. Re-answer is not a word, but whatever. I currently don't have access to previous sessions. Past interactions.
That is not
some
correct. I
specific-
don't get it. I always do. I always ask it to
Did I write strawberry 1 wrong? No. Maybe no, because they even put quotes around it. Well, let's go back to this one. And somebody was asking,
that's odd.
why did you get? Where did it go? Okay, why did you get it wrong? I apologize for the confusion. Initially, I didn't fully consider the R's in the entire word when explaining. Mistakes can happen. Okay. Thanks for pointing it out. Let's do another one.
You keep going.
How many?
Ian, it's going to start
bees
gaslighting
in
you.
Babar. I know. How many bees in Babar? Okay, so that one is 2. So it does seem like your initial idea, Steve, was that it's based on how we ask the question of like, how do you spell? So what's another word that we ask, like, how many?
Yeah, but it's also like, you could also do a version where it's like, do you spell
Right.
Sandy with an I? You know, but you're not saying which letter you're referring to, but it's understood. A person would understand what you mean.
Right.
But he
Yeah,
has
I
to
mean-
type it out, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good word to do
auto.
then.
Ian, I don't understand why I didn't reference the other session because I do that all the time.
I don't know. Am I like at lower level?
No, you're on 4.0. You're on
So is
4.0.
4.0 the best? Oh yeah, that's the fast one. Or no, that's the best one.
Yeah, 4.0, not the mini.
No, the mini is a slow one. Yeah, I don't know. What's another word, y'all? Try to use some words with double characters. I mean, like
Committee.
Committee.
How
Okay.
do you spell committee?
Yeah, of course I'm gonna have to spell it. How do you spell should I spell it wrong?
Mittee, right?
Should I spell it wrong? Like,
Yeah.
or should I spell it correctly?
I'll start by spelling it wrong.
Okay, let's see.
I think it's gonna.
How do you spell committee? The correct okay. So 2T. Okay, so then.
Did you get it right?
Yeah, I think so, right? Mittee.
Yeah.
How many T's in committee? I don't know. Like, what other word would this happen with? What? Look at it. Wait,
3 T's?
3 T's. So it's just like
It's drunk.
this is hallucination time.
Yeah,
This is a little-
apparently
Yeah, I don't know.
it doesn't really like read every letter. Like it does not. That's not how it works.
Right.
Doesn't it work in word chunks, like not words, not letters and not words?
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but it does work in units of data that are essentially
So it doesn't really.
one word is a unit of data. So I don't know how well it's.
Parsing, everything. Tokens, somebody said.
There you go. That's it. Tokens.
How many R's in ChatGPT? Let's see. That'll be funny. How many R's in ChatGPT? Like, you could take that to mean like every session contains 0 R's. They gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a hidden T. There's there's a T-shirt in there. Tokens at AI Tequila. What was some of the other questions? Those are work call. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't hear it. Strawberry Fields. Nevertheless, I heard that it tokenizes words, so it does not know spelling. It is actually 2344, 230, 32, whatever. So now it can only guess. There are no letters. However, strawberry with spaces would be tokenized differently. Try that. Oh, interesting.
Yep.
How many R's in STRAWBERR?
With the space.
Yeah, they are space.
So now it's just looking at letters, not the word.
Right. I
Yeah,
wonder if
we can't see it because the comment is still there.
Oh, sorry. Let me take that down. So yeah, there were spaces. How many R's?
No, I think he meant 2 words, not. But go try it both ways.
Let me do it. No, he's doing with spaces in
I think-
between. Spelled out contains 3 R's. So there you go. So that's fixed it. So now you have to just spell everything with spaces.
That's not a pain in the ass at
Yeah,
all.
definitely not. On another note, Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream 0 sugar is really good. So there you go. And I'm going to open one right now. Thank you, chat.
You know that the noise that the can makes opening up was
Yes.
deliberate.
What do you mean by that?
There's a conspiracy.
No, when whoever designed it originally, whatever,
Yeah.
like there are
They
two,
engineered it to make that noise.
there's 2 sounds,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all done deliberately. That's what I read.
Well, it's also one of the only things that, like,
Okay.
how do you reproduce that sound? You know, like for Foley artists,
They-
like
they-
you have to use a can, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, they have to use the can. Yeah.
Like there's no other second, best thing. All right. Wait, Jay, you need to send me the word for the email, by the way, if you have that. Did you send me the word for the email?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Sorry.
So let us move on. There was, you guys are familiar with a conversion therapy, I
Yes.
think. Yes. So TikTok, there's a new conversion therapist on the scene. Let's see if this triggers anything for you. Let's see. Hold on.
If I snap my fingers, you forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
Sure.
You can't just state something and snap your fingers and then be like, I was never gay.
You say so.
I don't know. I just saw
That
that.
is, I saw that too, and I was like, wow, that is such an interesting thing to do. Like, you know what it reminds me of? Oh my god, I just love it. I
I mean, I'm
love that.
assuming that
It's just a joke, clearly.
yeah, the guy was never gay.
But,
Yeah,
but
never
it was,
gay.
I forget what movie it was from. It had John Favreau in it,
Uh-huh.
and he's talking to Vince.
What's his name?
Vince
Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn. And Vince Vaughn is like saying, this girl, if I don't get it correct, just let me tell this because
here we
I'll
go.
get to the funny part. Vince is like, this girl would be with me if it wasn't for the other guy. So So what's his face goes, okay, yeah, I know what you want me to do. I got it. Okay. So basically implying like he's going to kill the guy or get the guy killed. So Vince Vaughn's like, no, man, I don't want you to do that. He goes, no, yeah, you're right. We're not going to do it. Don't worry about it. But we'll get this fixed up right away, right? And like every time Vince Vaughn was like, no, I mean really, don't do it. He goes, no, I totally get why you're saying that.
Right, yeah.
And we are like this. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And it just kept getting more and more like, what do you can't
that's
dig
funny.
your way out. You cannot dig your way out because the more you're like, no, I really mean it. You go, no, I know why you need to say that, and
Yeah,
I get
know.
it. It's good. We're good. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about this anymore.
No way out of it.
There's no way out.
You need a safe
Oh
word.
my shit! It's so
Yeah.
good. That's genius writing.
Yeah, it was a funny bit.
That
I mean,
is genius
it
writing.
blew up 57 million views, so
Yeah.
it's like very funny.
But it's funny. It's funny to do that, especially to someone who will whose lip will get hooked, right? Because if you did that to me, it'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny.
But if you did it to someone who does, maybe hasn't, maybe is not too well versed in philosophy and jokes
Yeah.
and negotiate, whatever it is, all the little things that add up to you. That guy, like for real, was like, no. I mean, you didn't just do what you think you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's all part of the bit, but still, it's like
Yeah.
it's very very
Yeah.
very funny. I don't know.
I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
Whatever you say.
It's such a.
Whatever you
It
say.
is. It is.
Sure,
It's
exactly.
a
Yeah,
mind f.
okay.
It's a mind f. It's
Yeah.
really compelling.
Anyway, let's move on to so there was Starliner update and noise. We did the Starliner update, I think, on the previous
Yeah, we did.
episode.
Yep.
But so there was a noise, which
There was a noise.
There was a noise.
Let's hear the noise.
Let's hear the noise, in case anybody hadn't heard that yet. Let me pull this away, unmute this, and here we go.
Houston on 2, I've got a question about Starliner.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker, and I didn't know if you could connect into the Starliner and let me keep mic and let you hear it. I don't know what's making it, but I don't know if it's something that maybe is connected between here and there, making that happen. But anyway, can you do that?
We can configure that, Butch. Give us a minute, and I'll call you back when it's ready.
Okay.
Station Houston on 2, we're configured for audio via hardline and CST, if you want to give us a call.
Okay, I'm in Starliner, and how do you read?
5x5, how many?
Okay, I'm gonna keep the mic up next to the speaker.
Copy.
Hear that?
At negative, Butch, we did not hear anything.
That.
All right, Butch, that one came through. It was kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
Yeah, I'll do it one more time, and I'll let y'all scratch your heads and see if you can figure out what's going on. Here we go.
Let me out.
It sounds like it's software generated, not like a physical ping.
You're right.
Yeah. But
He said it's over the speaker. What does that mean?
All right, over to you.
I guess playing through
Yep, good
the speaker
recording.
system.
Thanks,
They have a
Butch.
speaker system
we
in
will
there.
pass it on
But could
to
that
the
mean it
team
could be
and let
entirely
you know when
electronically
live.
generated and not
And
it's
Butch,
not
just to
listening to a
make sure
physical
I'm on the
noise?
same page, this is emanating from
Probably.
the speaker in
Yeah.
Starliner. You don't notice anything else, any other noises, any other weird configs in there.
But I don't know what that means.
thank you.
That's the question. Like,
Yeah, it's just patched. Something's patched in funny, potentially.
so what was the answer? Because they did have an answer.
So apparently, let me see if I have this. I don't have this one. Doesn't have an answer. At least this Reddit. Come on, Reddit. I mean, it does sound a little Cylon-esque. I don't know. It would be something in Battlestar Galactica. Contact. Yes, that's what it was. Let me see if I can find the one that I just saw, because apparently they did solve it. NASA solves strange.
They solved it by turning the
Speaker off. Yeah. Strange noises on Boeing Starliner. Yeah, it could just be somebody set up a reverb thing and just like smacking a reverb. Somebody has a guitar amp up there. Okay.
An unexplained sound coming from the Starliner's capsule.
At 12:34.
The astronaut reported it to Mission Control in Houston and asked them to investigate the noise, considering Boeing's dangerous history. And after a 2-day inquiry, the mystery behind the pulsing sound was finally resolved.
1:53 a.m. Eastern Time.
NASA says the audio system of the International Space Station is complex and it allows multiple spacecraft to be interconnected.
Obviously, you don't need a large cockpit.
The noise that Wilmore reported was actually from the audio configuration between the space station and Boeing Starliner.
Well, yeah.
And these technical
guess
sounds
that-
are quite normal and usual. The empty Boeing Starliner will be undocked on September 6th and is slated to
Don't really
return
say
on
what specifically it was.
Well, they're not
you know
gonna-
what
it's
I
all
mean? I
secret.
guess, yeah, it's whatever.
They're going to send it back to Earth on September 6th, so in 2 days,
I mean,
just like automated
Yeah.
yeah.
return.
And they had to change the re-entry.
Yeah.
To
Well,
hand-
they're not coming back till February,
Yeah.
right?
The astronauts are coming back on the next Dragon capsule
Right.
in February, yeah.
So hopefully they'll get some fireworks up there. I don't know, for New Year's, Christmas presents. Santa can make his way up there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
really sad how far Boeing has fallen, man.
Yeah, this explains.
I mean, it does
nothing.
show you,
That's true.
it's sort of disappointing
Mhm.
that, how leadership from the top, like how powerful and important
Yeah.
it is. You would think that there would be in sort of institutional and cultural sort of momentum and memory and talent, you know what I mean, and procedures, right, in the company that would be resilient. And who knows, maybe they did coast for a number of years on that, but just
Probably.
like, but how quickly the company was eroded from within because of poor management from the top is disappointing. You know what I mean?
Of course it is,
Mhm.
because you would think that there'd be safeties in there. I mean,
I
big
think there's an analogy there for the United States government.
absolutely. There big companies like Boeing
Mm-hmm.
with tons and tons and tons of employees and projects everywhere and all of that. You would think, okay, this big company, like, does it inherently know how to? Does upper management inherently know how to manage all of that? Or they're managing it, but does it necessarily mean they're doing an excellent job at managing it? Right.
Right.
So what big companies typically do is they'll hire a company like PwC, which is this global company that can help companies, big companies.
Yeah.
It's like you don't. You got to
It's a
be
company that helps other companies.
It's a company that helps other companies, and they do
But
lots.
who
of different
helps
things.
them when they have problems?
Well, the thing is, though, that PwC has practices that are tried and true, and
Yeah.
they can be like, all right, so if you want to have really good communication with upper management and mid management, these are the things that you need in place. So that what Boeing never did was they never had the humility to look for help to do an update, a refresh of their org chart to make sure that things are functioning well. That
But it
the
wasn't just that; it was just at
communication's
the at the highest levels, like the new CEO that came in and the people that came in from McDonnell Douglas, they had a different philosophy.
well.
Where they were
Yeah, but
not
see,
dedicated. They didn't prioritize quality. They
Right.
priori-
Again, that's correct. You're totally right. But like in the U.S. government,
Yeah.
we're supposed to have checks and balances.
Right.
You can't have the
Supposed to be
CEO.
guardrails.
The CEO usually has to answer to the
the
board.
CEO shouldn't have that much power.
You're right. Totally right.
Yeah.
Totally right.
Right. That is a problem. But the thing is, you can use the position of the CEO to give the CEO position more power.
Yeah.
And then abuse that power. Just like over years, presidents have accumulated more power to the presidency,
Yep.
than really it should have. And part of that is because Congress let them. So I think it's the same kind of thing in that this is also a failure of middle management. Middle management should not have let the CEO wreck the company,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, but unfortunately, especially I'm not. This is a phenomenon that happens all around
Yeah.
the world. Somebody in the company has a title above yours.
Yeah.
It's like there is no like, hey, we both work here. We're both human beings, and just because you make more money because your skill set, can get you that money and that higher position, that level of respect usually is not there, particularly as companies get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes, I think it's a couple of things. I think one is that because very large companies, there are a few people who have the information about how the whole thing works. Right? You have to get to the high level
Yeah.
before you really have that, before you feel empowered to sort of ask questions about like how the whole thing is operating.
Yeah.
It's very easy to keep your head down, be a cog in the wheel, and then to think, well, okay, this is happening within my little domain. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but I'm sure somebody's running the whole big picture, you know. And it's also, I think, just it's a little bit of laziness, a little bit of lack of courage. Like when you think something is wrong, it is easier just to keep your head down and do your work and get paid, rather than saying, wait a minute, you know, what's going on here, and to make waves and to go above your pay grade, above your head or whatever, to try to figure out what's going on and push back.
I mean,
and all that, and that's why there needs to be accountability and communication across all levels, going both ways,
and
in
the
a healthy
desire, the
company.
cultural desire
Yeah.
to do it as well. Because I mean, I have examples in my life working for different companies, and this is super common. You have employees at a company that might be working on a project or whatever, and that project makes you become aware, hey, we have deficiencies here, here, and here, and you could go to upper management and tell them about that, and they don't want to deal with it. Like there's no appetite to solve those problems, to make a department function better and all that. It's more of like,
that's why it has to flow from the top.
Exactly.
From the very top, people have to be instilling that culture on the people beneath them, who instill it on the people beneath them. And again, it has to integrate going up and down. And if you have a bad CEO, that will definitely all eventually filter down to the whole company. And I've experienced this myself directly and indirectly. Fortunately, I work at a good institution. I've been very happy overall with the way it's run. But there are times when you could see the bureaucracy taking its toll, where decisions are made at a higher level that are completely disconnected to what's happening on the ground, you know, with disastrous results. And, you know, I've also known people personally, not just you, who work in institutions where an incompetent manager just destroys everything beneath them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know what the solution to that is, because, again, as I said, part of the problem is that, a powerful, somebody who has the power can use that power to destroy whatever checks and balances you have in place.
Yeah, it happens all
You know,
the
it
time.
could subvert, the whatever that is, the culture, or it's partly that. It's like that saying: in order for the forest to be green, all the trees need to be green, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in order for a company, to be ethical, everybody in the company needs to be ethical.
Yeah.
In order for the company to be functioning well, everybody in the company needs to be functioning well. And that's why it has to be this constant interaction, I think, at all levels, to make sure that it is functioning at all levels, so that if there's one piece gets broken, it doesn't propagate through the whole institution. It gets fixed. But it's hard to build that kind of resiliency into, corporate institutions. And unfortunately, what I found is that there's a corporate culture. I think there are individual companies that have great culture, some that are not so great. But the point is, in terms of how are companies supposed to know how to be resilient and have a good structure? You would think, isn't that what they teach that in business school or whatever? And I'm sure to some extent that they do. But anytime I've interfaced with this sort of corporate philosophy, like how to run a company well, my impression has always been that it's mostly bullshit.
Yeah.
That seriously, just that it's mostly like self-help level knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not
it's
real
bullshit.
deep evidence-based, academic knowledge. And I guess I'm sure that the best people, the best companies have that, but the center of gravity out there is like the self-help industry.
Well, I mean,
it's mostly bullshit.
Like I have experiences working in companies where, they wanted everyone in the company to go take a personality test, thinking, oh, they'll know each other better and they'll work.
Yeah, there's that kind of bullshit too.
Yeah, did you even look one stitch below the surface to see if it is valuable?
Yeah.
They're listening to, they go, HR departments go to seminars, and they come back with all these ideas that they heard at the seminar. Like you said, it is like a
Oh man, I
wellness
hate
and-
that, man. You encounter
I
these
know.
mediocre middle management people who have this corporate speak that they learned at some seminar somewhere, and it's like, what the F are you talking about? It's completely disconnected from just even common sense sometimes, but it's sort of this substitute for actual knowledge, this buzzwords and jargon that they learn. Yeah, it's just nonsense. It is unfortunate, but again, how do we keep that from happening? I think part of the problem is that companies have a lot of money, and they're willing to invest money in their infrastructure, their human resources. And that makes them vulnerable to snake oil salesmen who are going to sell them bullshit. And if the company, people, these are business people, they're not scientists, right? And so they're vulnerable to snake oil.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And
Hey, if you want to do
so
something,
that there's a ton of snake oil in the corporate culture.
if you're in a company and you're a manager or you're
Yeah.
in a higher position, you want to do something to help the company.
hire us to speak for your company.
That's good.
Have your employees
say.
learn about critical thinking. I'm telling you.
No, but seriously,
It's
this
a
is something
perfect place to do it.
that we've talked about a lot. I'm being totally serious, and we've given talks, we've given seminars to companies, but I really would love to have a series of critical thinking lectures for businesses and to get into really break into the business circuit, which just takes a lot of networking and stuff. It's just hard to sort of bootstrap that, but. That I think it's sorely needed. This is how, you have here are the things that we actually know based upon science that would be relevant to running institutions. And here's the snake oil you should be aware of. Here's just critical thinking stuff. Forget the stupid ass personality tests already. Whatever. So it's a huge unmet need, and we need to fill it, right, Jay?
Yeah, I mean. We do. I would love to write a series of courses.
Oh, we have it. We have all the data.
We do. We have to tailor it for the
have to be
industry, though.
packaged.
Yeah.
But that's not a big.
So
deal.
contact us today for 50%
No, seriously.
off. No, but yeah.
I'm serious. If you want us to
True.
talk to your corporation about critical thinking and tailor it to what you need and your industry, we can absolutely do that. We have. I have so much material that could easily be tailored and packaged for whatever. Somebody asked, did you guys get your 12th booster shot yet?
I got my 200th. How
A little
about that?
tongue in cheek. What am I up to, 5 now or something?
Sharon, we're ready. I mean, we could do it
Yeah, actually, I
anytime.
gotta get mine.
Soon. I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to schedule it very, very soon. It's
Sharon
covering-
asked if we're ready to do things like we are ready to do things like this. What we would end up doing is talking to you and then fashion it to work for your
We are
company.
ready, yeah.
we can do it right now. So I tried to get my booster shot.
Yeah.
And I usually go to the pharmacy because that's where I go. And
Right.
and he said, unfortunately, they didn't get them yet.
Yeah, they're
You know,
waiting.
so
Yeah, they're
but
waiting.
I want it. I'm
It's
ready
crazy.
to go, man.
Just email us. If
I
you,
gotta
what's the
get
best way to
the
reach out to you
flu.
guys? info@theskepticsguide.org.
That's right. That goes to everyone. Got to get that flu shot too, everybody. It's
And same
happening.
thing, also
Coming
colleges. The other thing we're trying to break into, and which we have done. We have a gig that we're working on right now. But again, we want to get into the circuit, meaning we're on the list of people that call, which is there's again college students. The colleges spend a lot of money to have pseudoscientists speak bullshit to their college
bullshit.
students, and we have a lot, I think, of science-based, critical thinking-based stuff that we can talk about at universities. We could do individual lectures, panel discussions, and of course we could do live shows at the SGU. All of those things. We have all this. We're ready to. We have it at our end, ready to go. It's just a matter of breaking to the people that we need to get to make it happen. Again, this happens to some extent, but it's all hit or miss. It's just like somebody hears about us or knows about us and they schedule it, and we do whatever, a couple of years or something. But I'd love to do a lot more.
Definitely. Ian,
So info@theskepticsguide.org.
what do you got?
And hit us up. So one thing, somebody was asking last week, I think, why some people's names are green. That's if you're a member or a subscriber, I think, it doesn't show on here, but in YouTube chat. See that little icon actually next to Peter's name? There's a little
Yes.
rocket icon. That means you're a member.
Yep.
So that's why your name is green, not because you're a mod. That's on Twitch. Anyway, so did you know that red lights can help you see demons?
Mm-hmm.
You did? Oh, okay. Well, I guess we don't have to
Of
talk
course,
about it.
'cause they're red,
Because
right?
they're red, right. That's exactly right.
Speaking of red lights,
Uh-oh. Like
The,
stoplights?
I like to pay attention to movie tropes.
Oh, yeah. Like horror
Yeah, they're
stuff?
fun.
All genres, all TV media, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one I've noticed is that all robots, every single robot,
Sure.
has built-in red LEDs in their eyes.
Of course.
man.
For whenever they become evil, their eyes turn red.
They have Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, you don't understand.
It's the scariest color.
If we didn't
and then when
do
they're good,
that,
they turn back to blue.
if we didn't do that, we wouldn't know they were evil.
Right.
Yes.
Do you understand?
I know, but it's a trope. I mean, it makes no
stupid as
sense.
hell, I
It's
know.
Think of
stupid
the
as hell.
wavelength. Think of it. The freak.
Why put the red lights in there? That's the clearly
Oh,
the
right.
problem.
The point is though, it is
put those red
it is a
lights in
visual
there?
cue.
I know
You know, that we
No,
need.
That's
they-
what movie tropes are. They're visual cues so that we instantly know what's going on. That's
They
why you
put 'em
have
in
to have
themselves,
the
though.
bread or the carrot tops sticking out of the top of the bag of groceries.
Yes.
So people instantly know that's a bag of groceries, even though when's the last time you brought carrots with the actual carrot top still on it?
Yeah.
And had it sticking out the top of your
Should just
your
tell
bag.
people that those carrots are going to go bad in the fridge. They're
I
just
mean,
going to sit in the bottom of the bin. and you're never
Apparently,
gonna
movie
use 'em.
people know, unless they're props. They're probably props.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
but
certainly
it's-
are. It's just the carrot top, literally.
But it's also just lazy. I mean, really.
You know what I'm
the
pissed
red
off
eyes.
about?
Oh,
what do you
I'm
think?
pissed off that they
Here
don't
we
use
go.
the sound of an eagle. That all
Right,
these
it's a
years.
hawk.
I mean, and I
It's a red-tailed hawk.
and Steve, I believed it.
Yeah.
I had
know.
no. It just
I know.
it just got put into my head without me knowing it. It's bullshit. And eagles don't sound as cool as
Oh,
the
yeah.
red-tailed
They don't.
hawk.
That's why
just
they use the
don't.
red-tailed hawk sound.
They just don't sound cool.
Eagle sound. Let's get the actual eagle sound real quick.
It's like a chirpy, like.
Yeah,
Chittering
make
sound.
Actual eagle. Call of an eagle. Let's see. Oh, here he goes.
There's nothing cool about it.
Nothing? Sounds like a seagull.
It is very seagull-y. Now get to the red-tailed hawk.
Okay, let's get the red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed, whoops, hawk.
There you
Hawk
go.
Call. Boom. This
There
is
it
the one.
is.
This is America. Here we go. Come on, America. Pretty good.
That wasn't a good one.
No, that's not a good one. You need to echo. It has to
Yeah.
sound like he's in a canyon.
Okay, fine. Well, let's. You know what? Let me
Yeah.
go back to the previous. I did here. I think eagle sound effect. That'll be the one. There you
There
go.
it is.
That's
That-
a red-tailed hawk.
God damn! To me, that's an eagle. That is
The
an
red-tailed
eagle.
hawk. So along those similar lines, whenever you're in a movie, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what ecosystem, doesn't matter what planet you are on, if you are in a semi-wet, jungly environment, there will be a loon in the background.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right.
I can do you one better though.
Even on Middle Earth, they have loons apparently.
because I have my pet peeve tropes,
Yeah.
and the one I think that bothers me the most is every single time there's a microphone,
There's the feedback.
they have to do
Oh,
the
yeah.
feedback right before the person talks.
That's how you know the microphone's live.
I
Yeah.
know, but the
The fact that their voice is amplified apparently isn't enough.
and I finally saw, it was a TV show, I think. I finally saw a TV show where somebody, like TV shows are basically movie quality today. It's
Yeah.
one of those. And they didn't do it. The person just tapped on it and you hear pop, pop,
Dun, dun.
right? And that was good. That was good. That was like, okay, that was like kind of the indication. But even still, you don't even need to do that. But I got to tell you, and if this bothered me more than anything, without the feedback, I felt it was a little weird that the feedback wasn't there because the anticipation was
Yeah.
so strong.
You get programmed.
Yeah, we're programmed.
Here's another one I noticed recently. I was watching a show, and the sound effects guy. So there's a car chase, right?
Yes.
And I began to realize that every single time this car turns, there's a screech noise.
Oh, yeah.
Even when it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
You know, like the tires are screeching, even when they would not be like for nothing. It was just like the Foley guy just was going crazy. Like every time the car turns, we got to put
Yeah.
in a screech sound.
And they also, and I get it because when you're writing a screenplay, things have to be tight.
And they have to be more real than real.
Come in late and leave early. There isn't like you never just have things kind of be as they are.
Like the car was just pulling away. I mean, what are you doing?
but when they call each other in the movies,
yeah,
they don't say goodbye.
they never say goodbye. They never say
All right,
goodbye.
Steve, I'll see you at 7.
Right.
Never.
Okay.
But
Never.
I'd be like, all right, bro, love you. See you later.
They don't do it.
No. It's like, what? Why would they? But some person out there was like, we're not going to have him say goodbye.
Yeah.
And that was the standard. There you
Yeah.
go.
Then it becomes a thing. Yeah.
You hang up. No, you hang up. You hang up. Wait, so there we go. That's the loon.
Oh, I love the sound of them.
And they're not in the jungle. Is that your point?
well,
Probably not on the planet, not on Middle Earth.
They're not in Middle Earth. The thing is, it's like even if it's like a swamp or whatever, it's like it's just a
pretty.
universal wet jungle background,
right,
nature
yeah.
sound. But it's like they don't use one that's even if it's like in a real part of the world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a fantasy world.
My all-time favorite.
They don't use the actual soundscape of the
No,
actual
they don't.
environment.
They don't. No,
use
it's all the pre-programmed.
pre-programmed ones. Yeah, that they think that the audience expects.
The best movie trope of all time, the Wilhelm scream.
I knew it before
Now,
you even
of course
said
you
it.
did,
I was typing
because
it.
we're all
Knew
educated.
that was coming out.
So okay, but the history of the Wilhelm scream is very interesting, right? So the Wilhelm scream.
Oh, you know what? I have that.
Play it. You got to play it.
Well, let me play it, and then I have the. Yeah.
All right, now that
Very
scream was recorded, I think, in like the 1940s, 40s or 50s.
Yeah, I think
and it was
50s.
during a sound a Foley day that they were doing for a Western. And
51.
they gave the actor, the voice actor, who I think was the real actor, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, they just said, go ahead and make a bunch of screams, right?
Yeah.
And they did it. And this was one of them that he did.
It was just one,
It was-
too.
yeah.
And it was
It was
like
one or two.
No, he does like 7 of them, and then you can hear the engineers in between, like, yeah, that's okay, like, and they go do another one, but do this. Like,
Yeah,
I
let's
think
try it.
but this
Let's
is,
do it.
I think, the original ADR. Let's see. That's the tone at the beginning of
don't
tape.
be scared.
A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Right. Man getting bit by an alligator and screams.
Almost there. Not quite.
First one you did up here was much better.
Oh!
Ow. A real scream. Pain.
Do it.
Yes.
That's great. I like everybody's silent right there, which
Oh,
is good.
shit.
The engineers are like, wait,
That's so
oh,
funny.
shit,
That
that's
was
good.
That we
fucking
have
real.
that little piece of movie history.
I love that.
A little bit different take
No,
on
it's
it.
a little too weak.
And then that just but why
That's
did it
it.
get used in so many movies?
Well,
and then it became a thing unto itself.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
at some point
good
somebody
question.
used it, right, Ian?
Yeah,
And
I
that-
don't know where the first movie was.
And then
Let's
it
see.
caught. I read a thing about this. It's extensive. I mean, it was in Star Wars, for Christ's sake. The stormtroopers.
It's
make
in
that
so
noise.
many
Yeah.
things, like like first usage. I mean, what movie was that? I mean, man bit by a. Okay, so the Wilhelm scream was first used in 1951 in a Warner Brothers film.
Guy was on a
Distant
horse
Drums.
in water and he got hit by an arrow.
Oh, so
I think.
this is
What's
literally the visual.
The first
movie.
Wilhelm scream was in 1951's movie Distant Drums, and it's called the Wilhelm scream because the guy screaming is Private Wilhelm. There's hundreds of movies that use the same scream, like in Star Wars or Toy Story. Where have you heard this scream before?
I mean, amazing. It's a perfect scream.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, or at least we've been conditioned.
But
to
seeing the
think
guy
about it.
do it, like that actor didn't make that noise. Some
No.
voice
Yeah.
actor did it. But to see the first movie it was in, it's just comical to me now.
Yeah,
You don't even see the alligator. That's the best part.
Holy shit, that's so good.
That's
man.
good. Anyway,
But
so-
the demon eyes.
But
Yeah,
the demon. Oh, right, the
those
demon
demon
eyes.
man.
And also, we didn't actually talk
They
about
have
the
to
red
be-
light.
They have to be red too, right?
They have to be red. But so speaking of red,
Here we go.
apparently, let's see. This guy. This is a. I think these guys don't even really have a podcast. They just do clips on TikTok. But
Yeah.
whatever. There is some history to red light being used for night vision goggles, and specifically in Vietnam, some spooky things were happening. So let's see.
Night vision now, it's green. Yep. But in the Vietnam War, the night vision goggles that they were issued were red light.
Okay.
Multiple people in the U.S. military that were using them were seeing what they're reporting as flying demons.
Ooh, stop.
And so there's an instance where they're flying these helicopters in Vietnam. It was a safe zone, no hostility. And then the gunner in the back just started shooting. And the pilot's like, what are you shooting at? This guy, he was like panicked.
Yeah.
He's like, the demon. Apparently this giant winged demon creature was like flying at him. And then people on the ground in the jungles that were using it, they were also seeing like these demonic, freaky looking creatures. And so the military banned those night vision goggles.
What?
And they replaced them with green light. Apparently a lot of these dudes, they were shook to the
Yeah,
core of
I
everything that they saw with these goggles on.
Did the bullets work?
That
'Cause
was
I
my
thought it was just
follow-up.
prayer.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've looked into it a little bit because I heard the same thing. They were putting stuff inside the goggles. The
They were
chemical was
tripping.
literally leaking, so they were literally tripping. Or
Like it was a hallucinogenic drug.
So I don't know about all those.
So that
claims
video,
entirely, but
I got to tell you, Ian.
Yeah.
Watching that video, it's remarkable to watch a room full of people who lack skepticism 100%. Not one person said, like somebody needed to question it.
Like, is this even really true?
Is the story even true that those people experienced it? Now, at the end, it was nice to have a guy like at least come up with something that was terrestrial, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it was drugs, but even still, like that seems crazy.
But that seems stupid too.
Yeah, like
the red light chemical was leaking and it was a hallucinogen.
And why would they all hallucinate about demons?
That's only slightly more plausible than the demon explanation.
That's true.
So there was some stuff like people been like they're actually talking about this. Were their night vision goggles actually red or is it just BS? And it seems like they're confusing it with infrared.
Infrared.
And it's not
Which
that
is
they're
not night
necessarily
vision.
red.
Oh
yeah,
my
right.
God.
So, and it could.
I mean, you can use infrared at night, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
Infrared is looking at
Crazy.
heat.
Right.
Night vision is is magnifying super low levels of light.
So yeah, the whole thing could be just complete TikTok. Made
You mean
up.
stories take on a life of their own and have no basis in
Yes.
actual
Yeah,
I know,
reality?
we've said this so many times, but I hate the reality now because it's like you look at people and they're saying things, their mouth is moving and words are coming out of their mouths, and you're like, they don't even believe that. Like,
Yeah.
The hard sell,
Doesn't
and
care.
the drama, the music. It's like, yeah, I get it. You're telling the story and all that shit, but I just don't believe anything at all. It's so hard for things.
That's a good starting position. It's a good
Yeah.
first approximation.
Just don't believe.
Yeah.
I think that's our natural
Start
state,
with
right? Not
start with
belief.
not believing, and then you have to prove that something is correct
Yeah.
before we believe it.
Generally.
That's probably good.
I say to myself
God.
the
Self?
word bullshit so often.
Yeah.
I'm watching something bullshit. Like right, I say that to myself all the time. Like yeah, bullshit.
Baloney.
Baloney.
You have a degree in baloney.
Oh, this is another good trope: empty hospitals in horror movies.
But that's a good trope
It's a
because they're
good one. Yeah,
creepy.
they
They're
are creepy.
genuinely
Creepy,
creepy, and sure, I'm down with that. I liked what was the one, Jacob's Ladder. That
Oh,
was a
yeah.
creepy hospital scene with all the amputated limbs and everything. No, it's genuinely creepy.
Hey, I got a question. Just
Uh-oh.
out of curiosity.
Yeah.
That guy in the chat named Toby Wan.
Toby Wan.
There's a YouTuber named Toby Wan, and I'm curious if you are that guy.
If I click on his name and it leads to that, I don't think so.
What is Toby Wan? What is a YouTube?
He is a Fortnite.
He eats cannolis. Toby Wan cannoli.
Basically, he teaches you how to use
Obi-Wan
extreme
Kenobi?
strategy
Yeah.
in Fortnite. It's very adult. It isn't like it's for people who really want to learn like the tactics and everything.
Yeah.
You play the Fortnite, Toby Wan? No.
99% sure he's not the guy, but
don't think
it would
so.
be cool. It would be really cool because I actually want to ask that guy some questions.
You want to get some
But not
Fortnite
today.
training?
Not today.
Not today.
Steve can talk about D&D in the podcast,
Yeah.
but I can't talk about Fortnite in the
Correct.
live stream. No,
Right.
he's not the guy.
Nope.
No worries, you're still cool. I just wanted to know. God.
All right, so we can move on to some other things.
You want to do the YouTube?
Yeah, let's
and
do
then-
the
YouTube.
YouTube. So the YouTube one, let me bring it up again. Cell phones and brain cancer.
That's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So Steve wrote this on sciencebasedmedicine.org. If
Right.
you haven't subscribed
I'm ready.
or checked that out,
How you like
please
my picture
do.
that I
I like it.
Very
It's
good.
Actually, I know that you chat GP or you used
I use ChatGPT. for
chat
that.
GTP or Midjourney, but it's a good. You picked a good design because it doesn't like smack you in the face with the surrealism.
It wasn't the first one that came up. The first one that came up was too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, try again, but make it less busy. And that's what it came up with.
Yeah, very good.
So I thought it was good.
It's cool.
That's
Yeah, very
good.
very spy look to it. You know.
Yeah.
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 All right, let me change the background. Magical question and answer thing.
See, that's what like the picture ones are good for because, you need to have a picture go along with your blog post.
Yeah.
You just need to.
Yeah.
Because there's more engagement. People, I don't know, it just psychologically, it just has to happen. And if you pick stuff off the internet, every time you do that, it's just a crapshoot of this, whether someone's going to complain about you using somebody's pictures.
Yeah,
off the
I
internet.
mean, you don't want to do that, and there's lots of people out there that want artists to make money and everything. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true, but in this case,
But I'm never going to pay anybody
yeah,
for
you
a
just-
picture that I'm going to put to attach to a blog post. That's
just
never
trying to
going
get
to
it
happen.
done. Yeah, you just need you need a human representation there. or
You need something. So the reason why the Midjourney or ChatGPT, whatever, that's perfect because I can get exactly what I want. Like I don't have to look for I need a picture of a guy with a thing or whatever, and you try to find it. It's so much easier just to freaking make it with all the parameters that you need. I could make it in the right aspect ratio is the other thing because I need a certain aspect ratio. to go along with the blog post header.
Yes.
And I don't want to worry about any copyright or anything. So it's perfect. It's just it's great for that. The only other time I use images that are scientific, like I'm pulling an image out of an actual study that represents the data in the study, that's fine. Or if you have images that are like for the press, you know what I mean? Those are fine.
I mean, if you're going to write, if we're talking about tardigrades, you're going to show a tardigrade. You know what I mean? But,
so it seems like stock image websites are going to have to get like very specific or like exact with their imagery. Not
like somebody actually complained that I
generic.
used a picture of a lion. It's just a generic photo of a lion.
Right.
That was it.
What was the complaint?
That it was somebody else's photo. That they owned that right. I'm like, how did you even know this is your photo? Like, it looks like the other million pictures of a lion on the internet.
Search lion, and it's
so
like
I said, fine.
1,000.
I took it down. I went to ChatGPT, make me a picture of a lion. I put that up. It was the exact same freaking thing.
And then people will complain. Why did you pay an artist for that?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
pay an artist to grow a lion.
Okay. I'm ready to go when you
start
are.
rolling. Hold on.
Tell me when to go.
Stand
Okay, that's all I need you to do. Ian.
And go.
No.
Don't complain, man. Don't do that.
I'm not.
Ian, what is there?
Okay. Okay, go.
Are you ready? Okay. Steve, you know what I'm going to say.
I do.
Years and years and years ago, when we first were carrying cell phones, there were tons of people out there that were saying it's going to cause brain cancer. And I got scared for a little while because it was in the news, and it was like one of those things like, oh my God, I mean, I am putting a cell phone to my head quite a bit. And it went on for quite a while. And then as my perception of it, it just seemed to just go away one day. And what is the origin of this whole, cell phones causing brain cancer? Can 5G pass demons into your kitchen?
Yeah.
Is 6G going to be worse? And what's happening? Give me everything.
So it does go way back, even before cell phones. I mean, there's been for decades fear mongering about electromagnetic frequencies, right? EMF. It's like it's energy. It's in the environment. How do we know it's not harming our cells or our DNA or doing something to us? And even going back, I don't even know if you remember, like in the 1980s, there was this period where they're saying, oh, if you live too close to a high power line, it can cause leukemia in kids. Turned out that wasn't true. But this is, there's sick building syndrome. People say, oh, it's the, EMF sensitivity, et cetera. But it really took off with cell phones, right? Because now suddenly, and if over a very short period of time,
I even clicked on something.
You want to do a camera cut there?
Yeah, let me switch it to this.
Okay, go.
And go.
Over a very short period of time, we went from nobody using cell phones to everybody using cell phones, right? Pretty much. This is like in the 1990s was the steep part of that curve. By the 2000s, it was billions of people using cell phones. And it is something you hold up to your head, right?
And then brain cancer completely quadrupled at that point, right?
No. So that's the question. So it doesn't surprise me that people raised the question, how sure are we that the radio frequency, EMF, from cell phones isn't causing some kind of negative biological effect, and specifically brain cancer, right? So now this has been a question for the last 30 years, and it has been researched. And of course, the initial research showed that, well, it doesn't seem to cause any problems. That's why they were approved for use, because there wasn't really any evidence of problems. But if the real question then becomes, well, how do we even answer such a question? Right? What is the kind of scientific evidence that we could bring to bear on a question such as does long duration, frequent, regular cell phone use increase your risk of developing any specific type of brain cancer or brain cancer in general, right? So
I remember being advised to use the in-ear headphones and have the phone be away from your head. Did you ever remember that too?
So there was a time when the evidence was like, probably not, but if you really want to be sure, you could hold the phone out here and use the speakerphone or use the in-ear buds or whatever. But it was never like you should definitely do this because there was never ever like a proven risk to it. So we could look at this in a number of ways, and it's good. It's interesting to think about like how do we assess risk? In the technology, we have this ubiquitous technology. How can we be sure that it's not causing problems? So one way is to look at what we call hazard, or just sort of the preclinical plausibility of the claim. What is there anything happening that could plausibly cause biological damage, right? So that's not really risk. That's just like, is there a hazard here? Is there something that could cause damage? Now, cell phones and radio frequency in general is what we call non-ionizing radiation, meaning it's too weak to break chemical bonds and therefore cause damage to DNA or proteins. So generally speaking, non-ionizing radiation doesn't cause any biological problems. It's too weak to do that. That's a pretty strong consensus. Although it's always slightly more complicated, at least, right? There's a caveat there. You could say you could break down non-ionizing radiation into thermal non-ionizing radiation and non-thermal. Non-thermal means it's not even enough to warm the tissue.
Yeah.
Thermal means it's non-ionizing, but it will warm your tissue to a measurable, significant degree. And so then there's the question of, okay, well, can the thermal effects, even if it's not the radiation effects, can the thermal effects, can that cause any problems?
Well, you can get burned from something that's too hot.
If it's too hot, but we're not even talking about that. We're talking about it warms up by a degree or something, something very mild. So there's not even really a plausible hazard from non-thermal, non-ionizing radiation. And there's the data on thermal non-ionizing radiation is mixed, but mostly negative. But we can't say 100% that nothing's happening because it is warming the tissue a little bit. But it's like probably there's no real mechanism of injury there.
Why would they think that heat would be you just said 1 degree or whatever.
I mean, our body carefully regulates our temperature in order to, I guess like having a fever all the time, if you have, like, you're warming up your tissue, it's not implausible that cells would not be happy if the temperature regulation was off.
I mean,
but even by a degree or two.
Yeah, but still.
But still, right? It's not a, it's not
sun. The sun can heat your head up by 20, 30 degrees, right?
Exactly. So it never was a very plausible or worrisome thing, right?
But that's how thorough they are.
Absolutely. This is the research that's been done. Now, of course, ionizing radiation, totally different story. That breaks chemical bonds. It could cause DNA mutations, could damage protein.
What's a good example of that?
Like gamma rays,
Like that's how the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you get enough gamma rays in and you're done, man.
Yeah. But of course that would just kill you. It wouldn't turn you into the Hulk. But anyway, so
Steve has to throw in that clarification.
Gotta throw that in there.
Just in case there's one person out there.
So
yes.
Then another way we could look at is the thing you brought up immediately, which was, okay, well, has brain cancer been increasing since the 1990s, just in the population in general? Because so many people are using cell phones, you would think after 10, 20, 30 years, we would start to see like this steady rise in brain cancers. And the answer is, it's complicated, but basically no.
All right, so can I take a guess at what it is? It might have gone up because our ability to detect it earlier may have gotten better.
So there's two questions you could ask, right? One is just, what does the raw number say? Like, is it going up or not? And then you could say, well, are there any big confounding factors that we have to account for? So one is, we might be seeing more cases because we're just diagnosing it better, right? Or maybe the cases are going up because of cell phones, but there's something else we're doing that's reducing the cases, and that's masking the increase from cell phones.
Oh, that's very smart.
So you can kind of cut it both ways. So you can look at the raw numbers, and the raw numbers are saying, it's pretty much not going up. But of course, if you look at different subpopulations, you get slightly different answers. It's actually going down in adults, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
And maybe up slightly in kids, but it's all very, very mild, and on the whole, there isn't an increase.
Yeah.
So that's reassuring, right? There's no big, huge increase.
That's
in
the
brain
holy
cancer.
grail right there.
Well,
as far as
but
I'm concerned.
the next level of evidence, which I think is the best level of evidence that we have, is not just looking for raw numbers, is it increasing or decreasing or whatever, but trying to correlate cell phone use with risk of cancer, especially brain cancer, especially certain kinds. And that way you could say, are people who are using cell phones more likely to have brain cancer than people who are not using it? Are people who are using it more than a certain number of hours per day, and also over a certain period of time? So now you can correlate dose response, right? Not only is there any correlation, but is there a dose response, right?
Yeah.
And those studies basically show No, there is no correlation.
There it is.
And there was the World Health Organization just published a review, systematic review of 63 studies looking at this question, and they said basically down the line in adults, in children, based on hours of use per day, duration of use, every permutation you look at, there is no significant correlation between cell phone use and brain cancer.
Good.
Any type of brain cancer. So that pretty much is the last nail in the coffin. So not a plausible mechanism, not an overall increase, not a correlation. Of course, we can't do a randomized trial because it's unethical. You can't randomize somebody to be exposed to something that might injure them to see if they get injured.
Right.
So we have to do observational studies, but we've done now a lot of observational studies, and basically there's no signal there. So what that tells me is that, of course, you can never say the risk is zero, right? Statistically, mathematically, that's not how science works, not how the data works. All you could say is that statistically speaking, the risk has to be lower than our ability to detect it based upon the studies that we've done so far. So where it is now, a more technically accurate way to say it's like it's down in the background noise, right? It's basically indistinguishable from zero.
I read something at one point that just said that the radio frequencies weren't even strong enough to get past your skin.
They don't really penetrate very deeply.
Yeah.
Right. They don't get down to your brain. They
Yeah.
do get to the skin because the skin's on the surface. They don't get down to your brain.
Yeah.
Depending on how powerful it is. But they looked at even people who had industrial exposure. You know what I mean? Like you're working with towers or whatever. They had no risk either. That's also reassuring if you go to like the really high exposure group. So that's great. But then, of course, but why then have there been so many headlines over the years about cell phones and cancer?
Fear-mongering.
It's fear-mongering. It's sensationalism because it drives clicks. It makes for sensational headlines.
So scaring the shit out of people.
I literally read a headline today when I was writing about this. Is your cell phone killing you? I mean, come on. That is just basic sensationalism.
Well, Steve, though, that's a very complicated question,
Yeah.
right? Because really,
well, I mean, but
there's so many other ways your cell phone will mess up your life.
Not from brain cancer.
Not from brain cancer, but
right.
I mean, holy Christ.
And the reason I think this has been such a controversy is because, so like in the 90s, when we're like, there's no evidence, it's non-ionizing radiation, don't worry about it. Then on the fear-mongering side, you could always say, well, but we don't know what we don't know. Right, so there could be some other mechanism by which it could be doing something. Maybe it's not ionizing radiation, but it could be doing something else, and we don't know that, so we still have to study it. Fine.
But as far as brain cancer is concerned, there has been absolutely no sign of an increase in incidence of brain cancer, particularly with people using cell phones.
That's correct,
and that's it. So sure, your phone might.
But Jay,
yeah,
maybe you have to. So that this initially. When you did a study where you followed people for 10 years, they said, well, we got to follow them for 20 years.
Okay.
Right? So they're saying the duration of the follow-up wasn't long enough. This is a long-term risk factor. Cancer is something that takes years to happen.
But now we have.
I'm saying now we have 30 years of follow-up.
Is that enough?
Well, is it ever enough, right?
It is.
And here's the other thing, Jay, but most of the studies were done in 3G. That doesn't tell us that 5G.
That's why I brought it up.
And then now we're starting to get studies in 5G, but those have only been shorter duration.
Steve, I'm telling you, man.
And then as soon as we're sure 5G is safe, 6G will be out.
Let me tell you about 6G.
Yeah.
6G is going to. I said 5G can bring demons into your kitchen. 6G will manifest itself into a demon.
Yeah.
I read this.
But you see how this keeps the fear mongering going.
Of course it does, because it
hasn't been long enough. You haven't done the
clicks.
right kind of study. You've only done 3G, then 4G, then 5G, then 6, whatever. You have to keep going. So it's never ending, treadmill of more studies that you need to do to reassure that the risk is actually zero. Now, having said that, I'm not against doing the studies. Yes, this is a huge technology everyone's using. We should absolutely study it. We should gather the data. What I'm against is the fear-mongering based upon premature evidence or preliminary evidence without putting it all into context.
Yeah, of course.
Or based upon, obviously, if you do enough studies, there's always going to be some random quirky fluctuation, some stuff that's going to come out. You have to look at all of the data.
And this brings us back to the quality of science journalism.
Yeah.
You have someone...
Which is generally low.
Right? Earlier, 20 years ago, newspapers and TV shows had enough money to have like a scientist on their staff to help them.
And a science editor.
Yeah, and a
more
science
importantly,
editor that really knew what was going on, that could really help, make sure the information was good and accurate. But today, blog number 237, like they don't have that. And it does...
Even the mainstream outlets
you're totally correct.
Don't have science departments anymore. It's the generalists are now doing the science reporting.
It works. That's the thing that sucks about it. The sensationalizing of
clicks.
things like this actually freaking works. That's how we've ended up with like the crazy politics that are going on.
And it takes time to put it all into context. And the thing is, there's like semi-reasonable points to make. Yeah, we have only been doing 10 years of follow-up, so we can't really say that there won't be some risk after 20 years. But we can say with the data we have, there doesn't appear to be a risk. We're not seeing any signal yet. The data we have says non-ionizing, especially non-thermal radiation, shouldn't cause any problems. And the more time that goes by, the better the information we get, it's more and more reassuring, right? It's looking better and better. So we look at the whole picture and you put it into context, we could basically say, this is not the thing you need to be worrying about. There are so many things in your life that are more of a risk. And also, you always have to consider risk versus benefit, right? So we're way down into the background noise of risk. Like, don't worry about driving to work today. You were at more risk than using a cell phone, right? But the question is, are there benefits to a cell phone? This is a complicated question, but there certainly are situations where having a cell phone may reduce your risk if you're stranded somewhere or whatever, or the ability to communicate with people. There are benefits to it, access to information. So if you're going to deprive yourself of the benefits of a cell phone based upon a theoretical risk that's probably down in the baseline, you're probably going to cause yourself more harm than good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I take a little bit more of a...
Even the anxiety alone generated by it is probably more of a risk than the non-ionizing radiation coming off the cell phones.
You're being very fair about it. My attitude is, like, if you're reading articles like that, people in general, and they're reading it and they're freaking out, it's up to them. Don't use the cell phone, or just put your headphones in. Don't put it up to your head. Stop complaining. You know what I mean? Like, move on to something else.
But I look at the data and go, I'm not going to worry about it.
I'm not going to worry about it.
It's not. This is not something I have to worry about.
You know what's funny, Steve? Even back in the day when we didn't know and it was in the news and everyone was like, oh, we still use the cell phones. Like,
we did. Well, then I was reassured by the fact that it was non-ionizing radiation.
Yeah.
So sometimes, science is very reassuring, and you listen to the science. Like, there really shouldn't be any issue here. You have to play the odds.
Yep, that's right.
The probability of this turning out to be a problem is so small. I'm not going to worry about it. And in this case, we were right, because when you play the odds objectively, chances are you're gonna come out good in the end, right?
Yep.
So, and the other thing is, just as a general rule, you can't live your life worrying about every potential risk out there. You have to put things into context.
Well, there is one thing that people should worry about, Steve.
Yeah.
They got to watch out for that voodoo, man.
Yeah, the voodoo.
That'll get you. All right, guys. Steve, I love this answer because it's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending. Don't worry about it.
A lot of times we talk about things and, sometimes things don't work out, But in this case, the scientists got it right. The research is clearly showing everything is good.
As predicted. It shouldn't have been an issue, and it turns out it isn't an issue. And just move on to something that's actually worth worrying about.
The system of science has prevailed again. All right. That was good. Thank you, Ian, for putting up with our nonsense.
Okay, very good. Stop.
All right, Steve, I have to go.
The bathroom's right upstairs, first door on the right.
No, I have to. Yeah, we got the show tonight. Did you see my news item?
Which one? Tell me about it.
For Christ's sake. I sent you more than one. I can't remember. Just take a look. I'll.
Yeah, I work in the morning, and then I come.
I know. They were both
so after
non-specific. They weren't time sensitive.
Can you send me a word for the email, because I got to send that email.
Non-ionizing is the word.
Non-ionizing.
I will. How about that, Ian? Is that good?
Yeah, do it.
I'll send that one to you.
Just give me a.
What is the phrase that you're going to pluck out of today's show?
I already got the one where you were like, Uncle Jay says buy virtual real estate.
Yeah, like that is non-ionizing radiation like getting stoned with marshmallows? Absolutely. Of course, if you eat all the marshmallows, that's probably a hazard.
Yeah, that's fair.
To your diabetes.
Diabetes.
Well, non-ionizing radiation. I can only give you the definition for non-ionizing.
That's fine.
Not the phrase non-ion.
No, just non-ionizing is fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're adding this to the email. If you aren't already a subscriber on our email list, you can do that at the bottom of the homepage, theskepticsguide.org. At the bottom, put your email in. We do this a weekly email recapping the last episode and some other fun things too.
Ian, you want to hear something odd?
Okay.
So we have already recorded 1,000 episodes.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
But tonight, we're recording
the
1001 episode, which will not be numbered the 1000.
No, it'll air in a few months.
It'll air in a few months. So trip on that, Ian.
Okay.
The complexity, man. The complexity.
Somebody was asking right before when we went live, do we count all the live streams and premium content as episodes?
No. Ian, you do that, right?
Yeah, I totally. Yep, I keep track of all of those numbers. I'm like, how many videos how many pieces of content have we made? Probably two.
I mean, I don't have one number for everything, but certainly the episodes are counted.
Yeah.
Premium things that actually count as premium content are numbered, so I know how many of those we have, and everything we post on Patreon is numbered, so we know how many of those there are. But then we have other content as well, So it's
we're up to 140 on premium content.
Yeah, 140 pieces of premium content if you join the SGU at the $8 level.
There you go. And do that, please.
And you get the ad-free show.
Ad-free, that's right. And let's see. Let me get on to the next thing. So, Jay, did you email me the...
I'm working on it right now. It's actually not... I'm not coming up with a clean definition.
Oh, okay.
So I'm putting the time in. All right, so I will depart.
Yes, thank you.
You guys had a good time today. Good conversation,
bye-bye
Steve.
To everyone.
I'll see you tonight, brother.
Yeah, we'll see you tonight.
And you're all good with your suit and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. We're getting ready for
it looks really good.
the wedding.
It's going to be nice.
The wedding. It's black tie, right? The tux I rented was right?
Yes, black tie.
Okay,
there's no live stream on Friday, by the way.
That's true. There's
That's
there's no live stream. Unless we're streaming the wedding, but that's a different day. Anyway, which we aren't. What is the difference between high and stoned? I don't know. One hurts if you get hit with them. All right, we're gonna move on to.
Let's just do the consciousness TikTok.
Yeah.
Because then I also have to go because
Okay.
I have to post-produce the show for this weekend.
That's true.
This afternoon as well.
Mm-hmm. That's the 1,000th show.
The 1,000th
actual
episode.
1,000th.
Yes.
Was the audio cool with that, or did you have a chance?
So the audio was cool, except when
Bob. No, I'm just
I had to use the separated tracks.
Yeah.
The combined tracks had an echo. And I was worried about that when we were recording, when we were doing the show, because.
Oh, the echo of the.
Yeah, when everyone was speaking, I could hear it really loud, which means my microphone could hear it really loud, which means there's going to be an echo.
Yeah.
But when I separate it out to individual tracks, you don't get that because everyone else, that could silence everyone else's.
Yeah, I didn't put any gates on the live one, so
yeah,
that would probably be part of it. All right, let me move around this camera. We'll go to the TikTok.
But it's fine. It just takes a little bit longer to do the post-production when you do that. Boing.
Zoom in, screen close up.
Yep, there we go. Oh, now I got this Jay's chair. Ooh.
Very good, very nice. 5-pound fish. All right. We could show this article for a second if you think that would be helpful. So it'll be like that. Boom. I don't have any. There's no music in the background, but. All right. Let me record this. Do you want to reference it at the beginning and then I'll switch off of it? Or, okay. All right. We are rolling.
So a recent article in Popular Mechanics is making the rounds on social media, basically stating that that consciousness is a quantum phenomenon and that your consciousness can be entangled with and interact with the entire universe. And scientists believe, I always love that, scientists believe, really which scientists and what is it actually that they believe? So this basic claim is pretty much nonsense. At the very least, it has not been established. This is not what scientists think about consciousness. This is a fringe minority opinion. And they have not, it's not even really a theory. It's barely a hypothesis. It's really just a wild ass speculation that has not been established in any way, really. Now, what's the new evidence that is kicking this off and that inspired that article in Popular Mechanics was a study, but it was a simulation, right? It wasn't even really a study. They simulated microtubules in neurons, and the question was, could they, based upon the simulation, would there be quantum effects in terms of how energy gets transported down these microtubules? And they found that, yes, there could be quantum effects. So what this is talking about is quantum entanglement. And this has been a source of misunderstanding, forever, since quantum mechanics existed. And the New Age, woo, ESP kind of end of the spectrum loves this idea because, see, our consciousness is a quantum thing that could be entangled, and that explains all ESP and all psi phenomena and all of that. Or Deepak Chopra is again, yes, see, this is sort of an Eastern idea that your consciousness is actually one with the universe. And now they're trying to say that, see, science is showing that this is true through quantum mechanics, but none of that is true. So first of all, the article starts, which I find gratuitously, most articles about consciousness start by completely overplaying our ignorance about what the causes of consciousness are, right? They try to make it sound like scientists have no idea what consciousness is, or even where it is, or what the substrate of consciousness is. And this is not true. We know quite a bit about consciousness. We have not completely reverse engineered the neuroanatomical correlates of your stream of consciousness. That doesn't mean we know nothing about it. We know that it's a brain phenomenon. We know that it is a phenomenon that results from the networks and the circuitry and the neuronal activity in your brain in real time. We certainly know that if we alter the neuronal firing, it alters your experience of your consciousness, sometimes in very specific ways, depending on what part of the brain we're messing with. And if we turn off your neuronal firing, that turns off your consciousness. So just to name a few things, we have some really good big picture knowledge about consciousness. We know it's a brain phenomenon. We know it's a neuronal phenomenon. We know it's a circuitry phenomenon. But do we know exactly which circuits are contributing which aspects to our experience of consciousness? No, that's a very complicated question. We are still a long way from completely filling out that picture. But that doesn't mean that it could be something magical or something that we have no idea about, or maybe it's a completely different quantum effect that has nothing to do with our understanding of, at the level that we are right now in terms of neuroscience. It doesn't mean that at all. But the article starts out with that as the premise. Scientists have no idea. Maybe it's this weird quantum thing. No, not quite. Now, the reason why scientists are not impressed with this theory, the quantum theory of consciousness, is because quantum level effects don't, especially like entanglement, these occur in very isolated, very special situations, right? If we want to recreate it in a lab, for example, we need to have very cool temperatures. You need to cool the situation down to close to absolute zero. You have to limit the interaction with other physical stuff, right? Because the quantum state of matter is a very delicate state that collapses into more of a classical state whenever matter interacts with other matter. And so you have to maintain these special states in order to maintain these weird quantum interactions and quantum entanglement, etc. So the question is, well, can any of these quantum effects exist in biological organisms if it has to be so cold and it has to be so isolated? And the answer is a kind of yes and no. There are some quantum effects at the margins that occur in biological systems. It doesn't mean the entire system is a quantum phenomenon, and it certainly doesn't mean that entanglement is happening. Again, not all quantum phenomena are the same. And just because you said, oh, look, in photosynthesis, there's this energy transfer which is exploiting this quantum phenomenon, at a cell level. It's like, okay, but that doesn't tell you anything about quantum entanglement, right? Really doesn't tell you much about that at all. It doesn't mean that your consciousness, that the overall phenomenon of consciousness can be entangled with other things, can have this quantum interaction with the entire universe. It doesn't mean that at all, even if they established that there were quantum effects contributing to consciousness, which they haven't. This has not been established at all. So in my opinion, that was a terrible article in Popular Mechanics, that it completely was mystery mongering about neuroscience and consciousness. And then it takes this very narrow simulation type study, which saying, yeah, maybe this kind of interaction, this kind of quantum phenomenon is semi-plausible if you look at it in a certain way, trying to parlay that into scientists believe that this is what consciousness is about. It's utter nonsense. Even if these simulations, this whatever effect that they're talking about turns out to be true, which has not been established, that does not mean that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. And there are really good reasons in both physics and neuroscience to believe that it isn't a fundamentally quantum phenomenon, which means it cannot be entangled. And no, your consciousness is not connected to the entire universe. There is absolutely zero evidence that this is the case. This is fringe speculation, and that is how a good science journalist should portray it, put it into its proper context. That is not what the article did. And it is creating a lot of misunderstanding of the fundamental science on social media, which is a good sign that this is a science journalism fail. You have generated a misunderstanding and a lot of sensationalism, not actually good understanding of the underlying science.
All righty,
All
very
right.
good.
All right, one and done.
One and done. That's
Yep.
it. We'll post that on TikTok
On the
and
Tickety-Tock.
on YouTube, everybody. So any other questions before we skedaddle? And then you won't see us till next Wednesday, I believe, right? Next Wednesday is still good?
I think so, yeah.
I
they're
think
good.
everything should be good. Should be done with the wedding by then.
The wedding shenanigans should be over.
No more shenanigans. Tell me you love me. Now, well, thank you for sharing. You did share the stream a bunch, so I appreciate that, Tad.
Thanks for the sharing, love.
A tad of sharing. Anything else before we skedoodle? I think that's good. Stay healthy and safe.
Stay good, everyone.
Stay
this
good.
weekend, the 1000th episode
That's right.
will drop.
That's right, and that was from our live recording in Chicago. So there should be some fun,
It's a fun show.
stuff there. Speaking of which, I have to finish the edit of the video, and that will happen. Thanks, guys. Happy wedding day. Yes,
Thank you.
There you go. All right, we'll see y'all next time.
So long.
So long, suckers. All right, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ian.